My Life with Marsha Elle.
Well, thank you everyone for tuning back into the My Life With series. Today I'm with Marsha, and as always, I'll just hand over to you to introduce yourself.
Okay. Hi, my name is Marsha Elle, and I am from Miami, Florida. I'm a singer, songwriter, bionic model, and amputee.
Beautiful, thank you. Thank you for joining me. And I know like we've been working with the time differences, so awesome that, I find it really, really cool that I can use Skype to communicate with people overseas and get these interviews happening with people outside of Australia and getting those different perspectives. So thank you.
Thank you for having me.
No worries. As with everyone, I think the best way to start is if you can identify and, communicate to everyone watching along the main barriers that you face in society.
Okay. I would say I think the main barrier in society would be for me the limitations people assume
Mm,
just because I'm an amputee. People can see my disability. Some disabilities aren't seen. And being that, like, people will say, oh, maybe she can't go upstairs. But in my head, I'm like, I ski down mountains. Uh,
yeah.
and then it just kind of occurs. And when I was younger, I kind of took offense to that. Now I realize it's just ignorance, and it's my duty and like yours to educate others. Like, hey, don't put my limitations on me. And
Mm,
especially, and some people are just being considerate. Sometimes I take it like, hey, I will tell you when I need to modify, but I
yeah.
don't want it to ever stop from me enjoying the experience or something that you may, maybe you want to invite me somewhere, and because of my leg, you think, oh no, she can't do it. It's not always so. One
Yeah.
big thing.
It's always that like, and I think people mostly come from, like you said, a considerate place, but where it becomes really negative is when they like think, oh, I just won't broach the topic and I won't invite them because it's too hard to have that conversation. Yeah, there's been other models that I know and myself as well where there have been shows where we could have easily participated in as models or jobs that we could have participated in, but they just don't want to broach the subject because they think it's awkward. And I'm like, I would really much rather you ask me what I need or if I can and can't do this than to just exclude. Yeah. And I think there's like this strange perception as well where it's like, oh, they've already been challenged so much. Let's not put them in like another challenging environment. And I'm like, yeah, that might be the case for some people, but like I know for me, I'm like, I love a good challenge. So I'm
Yeah,
like I'll rise to the challenge. So yeah,
I agree.
cool. I think we should jump straight into talking about how you became a singer-songwriter, and a model as well, and how you broke into those creative industries. Like, did you find that difficult? And do you think there were extra barriers involved because you are a person with disability, or?
Um, well, I will say it's a big question because I get it a lot, but it's so hard to put 26 years into like 2 minutes. But I will say that I started singing very young, at the age of 5, and songwriting at the age of 10, and just kept going. And I love music because I could be heard and not seen.
Yeah,
Growing up, I wasn't 100% comfortable. I'm a congenital amputee. So I was born with one leg fully developed. So I had to just, every year I would get a new leg, or I had to get used to a new device. And
yeah,
so I felt like, music was my safe haven. It was a
yeah,
solace for me. So it was almost like I always wanted to be a pop star. I always wanted to dance. I was like, I don't know if I can do what the Madonnas and the Britney Spears and the Chers are doing,
yeah,
the Janet Jacksons, but I never stopped. I just kept going, and it became big because I just kept going. Some people, I get DMs all the time, like, how do I get started? I said, just start. That
yeah,
literally is the biggest thing. Just start,
yeah,
keep going. Um, and like one of my best singles that I have out, Unlimited, I wrote when I was 16, leaving amputee camp, snow skiing camp for the first time. And, just keeping the purpose behind music, sharing my story with the world, it matriculated into something that was profitable and a career.
Yeah.
And modeling came out the same way. Like, I just started taking pictures. At first, it was just my way of showing my fans of my music to be that I'm vulnerable. I felt like I was kind of being a little hypocritical. I never wore shorts. And my first album, I finally decided, and it was called Champion. At the back cover, I had shorts on for the first time. And it was like me sliding it in. I have never worn shorts. I was 23 years old. I live in Florida. It's very hot. And I'd never worn shorts. I always covered it up because I felt like when I saw it, people looked at my leg before they looked at me.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just want to avoid it for right now. And it was just me hiding behind my insecurity.
Yeah.
And then for Champion, I said, I'm gonna test the waters. Now for Brave, my album cover, I completely had my legs shown. I was into it. That's when I started taking a lot of pictures. And it was my way of actually just reaching out to my fans and saying, hey, here's a part of me that is a part of me now. I was able to embrace it. And I wanted them to see that vulnerable side of me. And then I kind of somehow got signed and became a model because I kind of opened up that barrier and broke it down.
Exactly. And like, I think a big thing about modeling as well is like having that confidence within. Like, it sounds kind of corny, but it's true. Like, you have to have confidence in front of a camera to be able to, be yourself, or like be a character and be a personality for that campaign. So they probably, once you kind of shed that whole insecurity, and you probably had a moment as well where you realized, I'm hiding myself. And that sort of comes from this model where like your leg is the problem. Whereas you might have had this moment where you were like, no, fuck that. Like, I'm not the problem. It's society that needs to change. So you're like, hey, I'm putting this out here. You guys need to change your perceptions, sort of thing. So yeah, there is a lot to unpack in this, isn't there?
No, but it's but it's very, I do agree. Like, it was, I made it my issue, which it really wasn't. My biggest issue was hiding. And I just had to be free and let everyone else be uncomfortable for a little bit until they're educated and they're like, oh, it's not that I shouldn't ostracize them or look at them weird or exclude them from society or from gigs or make things inclusive. And so, I'm glad that
you doing that has such a huge effect because like fans for your music feel more represented. Like gigs that you play probably are like, oh, let's be more mindful of being more accessible, which is good for you, which is good for any of the people going to the gig. So yeah, there's so many things. And even just you providing that provides more opportunity for other people with disability to then enter into the space. So yeah, I love it. So many people that have come on, we've talked about like representation and why it's important, but I think it just comes like down to the basic fact that people with disability are like a natural part of the world's or each country's diversity. So it's like, all these creative industries are getting right around diversity at the moment. And a lot of the time, disability is like the last marginalized community to be picked up. And it's based on this whole like preconception that like disability could never really be desirable, or because there's like an impairment involved or there's a condition involved and that's not healthy or perfect. And it's like, instead of striving towards that, we should just be realizing that disability will always be a natural part of our diversity and just representing. Yeah.
I agree. That was well said. Yep.
To be continued. Representation, accessibility, and Glow Unlimited.